Espionage is a dirty word, but everyone does it. It's a tricky business, high risk, high reward. Pull it off and you hit jackpot, and no one ever finds out. But when you mess it up, it's a world of embarrassment, as was the case 15 years ago.
Out of the blue, a senior British diplomat develops the oddest habit of going on inexplicable walks to the strangest of places. It's the same route every time. Now, alarm bells aren't ringing yet, but Russian counterintelligence decide to keep an eye on this odd little habit.
Christopher Pert, Secretary Archivist of the British Embassy in Moscow, looking shifty as can be.
But then, a second British diplomat develops the same walking habit. And during one of those walks, one of the diplomats strays off the path, kicks a random rock, and then keeps on going. Cue alarm bells. At this point, the FSB understands that something stinky is afoot. They watch and watch as a third and a fourth British diplomat start going on these little pilgrimages to this little rock.
At one point, a certain Mark Doe, then Second Secretary of the Embassy and flagged as an MI6 agent by Russian counterintelligence, whisked the rock away for a little polish. It turned out to be a Wi-Fi device used to communicate with a Russian official turned traitor.
На тот момент это устройство было новейшим способом организации посольской резидентуры СИС связи со своей агентурой на территории России. Британцы не признавали свой провал вплоть до 2012 года, до момента, пока бывший советник премьер-министра Тони Блэра Джонатан Браун официально не признал, что этот факт имел место быть.
The spy rock was embarrassing. They had us banged to rights. Clearly they'd known about it for some time and had been saving it up for a political purpose.
This is the rock, or the malfunctioning rock, a copy of it. The original has been stripped down into dust, circuits and wires, but this is the rock that caused so much embarrassment for British intelligence and diplomats. Since then, technology has undergone miniaturization, and this has given way to this. The internet and messengers. But while methods and tactics may have changed, goals and strategies haven't. Espionage, subterfuge, spying, and betrayal.
You'd think that British agents and potential recruits in Russia would be a little more surreptitious going into the future. But no. The Federal Security Service of Russia has released new footage showing Mark Doe's successor following in his clumsy footsteps. James William Thomas Ford, entering a restaurant in Moscow, former Second Secretary for Political Affairs at the British Embassy, designated an undeclared MI6 agent, married to Elizabeth Grenberg, designated Swedish intelligence agent. Following him in is Russian opposition figure Vladimir Ashurkov, Alexei Navalny's right-hand man, executive manager of the FBK Foundation, currently living in the UK. Surveillance of this meeting was conducted by Russian counterintelligence, keeping an eye on Special Agent Ford.
If we had more money, we would expand our activities, of course, with a little money. If somebody would spend, I don't know, $10–20 million a year on supporting this, we would see quite different picture. And this is, not a big amounts of money for people who have billions at stake in this game. So that's the message that I'm trying to project in my fundraising effort and talking to people, business community and so on.
Hint, hint, nudge, nudge. Fund us into power and we'll pay you back with billions, hints the man crusading against corruption. The opposition even has a plan, which is remarkably similar to what they accuse the government of doing, from bombarding voters with propaganda to backdoor deals with elites.
We need to play on different chessboards. Mass protests, civil initiatives, propaganda, establishing contacts with the elite and explaining to them that we are reasonable people and we're not going to demolish everything and take away their assets, things like that.
Ashurkov, cementing rumors that the opposition is being helped by foreign intelligence, appears to ask the British for help, information from government and intelligence agencies to use against the Russian government.
In some cases we don't have maybe, the direct evidence. Our evidence is circumstantial, but I'm sure that SFO has access to a lot of information that would not be available to us from British sources. And if, I'm sure there is information within the British agencies that would link Abramovich or Usmanov to people in the Russian government. I think Britain is a key European country that can influence and is already taking a tougher stance towards Russia.
Britain, after all, has much to gain. Here, Ashurkov doesn't beat around the bush. The meaning is clear. Give us information and we'll help get rid of competition for British banks by torpedoing Russian ones.
We will release a report on VTB Bank in association with the Henry Jackson Society in London, which paints the picture of how VTB...
Here, a short pause for the waitress. You never know. She could be a spy trying to listen in.
How VTB is involved in corruption, how risk management is not working, and we make the case that it represents the threat to European financial markets and to their integrity because it's a significant player in Europe, and they make it more difficult for British firms like Lloyd's or RBS or other big banks to Barclays to compete.
Despite Ashurkov's hints, Mr. Ford doesn't commit to any direct financial support. Instead, he points Ashurkov to a workaround. Work with Transparency International, which Britain was already financing.
The foreign agent legislation, of course, is going to be a big thing for this autumn, I think. We provide support for various NGOs, as lost embassies do. So I think it's something that's going to, once this new legislation comes into force in November, I think there's going to be a big focus on it. They will argue, and I think we'll probably have to argue at some point before too long, that specifically they are not political and therefore not foreign agencies, etc. I mean, we are funding a project run by them, mainly in Ukraine, but also in some other countries in the region, on open government, this open government partnership, building a kind of an action plan for Russia.
We are open to work with them, we just don't think that it's going to be effective.
Just imagine a British politician meeting with Russian Secret Service agents to beg for funding and dirt on rivals. It would cause a national uproar. Aside from the ethical complications, it would also undoubtedly be viewed as a security threat. And that's exactly what it is in the eyes of the FSB.
Посольская резидентура МИ-6, решая свою главную задачу по получению секретных сведений о военном экономическом потенциале России, продолжает активно участвовать в работе посольства с российской оппозицией, поддерживать различные НКО, выдавая им гранты. Помимо информационной и финансовой поддержки оппозиции и НКО, сотрудники британского посольства активно участвуют непосредственно в формировании оппозиционных сил.
It's never been a secret that the opposition in Russia has ties with and sometimes works in the interests of foreign governments.
So we'll see what comes out of that. So this broadly describes what I do.
Okay. Well, yeah, I mean, not a small job.
But the degree of that cooperation will undoubtedly leave voters with very serious questions. Morad Gazdev, RT, Moscow.